What is going on, everybody? Eddy here for another lunch break here on the Life of Dad Facebook page. With me is my homie, Jon Finkel. What's up, man?
Officer Jon Finkel today. We're talking about crime and punishment. We're talking about grounding our kids. I thought I would bring a little extra to the table today and discuss, crime enforcement inside the household.
Love it, man. Yeah, I mean, there's the thing, like, I think grounding and punishment, like the term, like, oh, you're going to be grounded, or you get your butt off that sofa, or you're going to be grounded, or all those things happen, right? So I felt like when we were growing up, that was a common threat that our parents give us. Nowadays, I feel like no one's really doing that, and that's why I wanted to like get everybody's opinion and take on punishment and grounding and all that. Our kids are a little bit, I mean, my kids are getting to the point where if they're going to start acting a fool, like, all right, there's going to be a lot bigger consequences than like, maybe when they were toddlers. But for you, like, do you and your wife kind of like lay some ground rules about, hey, you do this, you're going to lose this?
Yeah, I think what you just said is, I think what it ends up being more of than anything else. Hey, Rand, how are you, buddy? I think the punishment somehow became removal of things they enjoy. Like when I got grounded, it was like you're in your room for a week or a weekend or a night, whatever the punishment may have been. And once we had a Nintendo in our room or something like that, or a TV in our room, it was also like, that's unplugged. You read or you draw or whatever you're doing in your room. But the idea of being grounded was specifically that you were kind of on lockdown. And especially as you got older and having friends and being with your friends became more and more important, the idea of spending a Friday night, at home in your room was just excruciating, or a Saturday if all your friends are going to a movie or doing something. And especially once girls get involved, and if a girl you like is going to be somewhere, like all of these things come into play with being grounded. I think nowadays what I hear more of and what I see more of is like, we're taking your iPad away, or like no video games for the whole weekend, or things like that, right? That seems to be where we've moved.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's always like there's consequences, right? So I totally agree on that. We have Tracy saying hello. Taylor says, I make them pick up a half cup of rice off the table one by one with tweezers.
Yes. Whoa! I like that. Just like straight, like just mindless, go dig a ditch in the backyard for an hour. Right. Like I would love to do that, more of it. Like I read an article somewhere about like, it was essentially like not exercise or anything, but it was like for everything, it was like an escalating amount of like push-ups or jumping jacks or something, where it was like, if the kid's grounded, like you might as well be something where that will eventually improve them or whatever. But like, yeah, it's an interesting thing, because the part of grounding is to make them feel, pain, not in the sense of physical pain, but like you want them to be upset and not want to feel that way again. Therefore they won't do it that way. And for whatever reason, whether it's like that dopamine hit, for video games or whatever it is, it becomes, like a device has to be taken away. Not, you can't go outside and play.
I see. No, with your glasses, man, I just see you like, laying down the line with your kids, laying down the law. I'll be like,
what did you say to me?
Yeah.
What did you say?
I need you to step out of the Power Wheels car, sir.
yeah, I'll need you to step out. You hit your sister again? Okay.
Kelly Clark says, no soup for you. And then Steve says, I think grounding causes more rebellion.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, and Jesus here says taking phones away drives them crazy and makes them do laundry. Like, what is the most painful thing, right? Obviously, it's not physically that we think about, right? Obviously, we're not going to beat the hell out of our kids, but it is that pain point of phone, iPad, tablet, Nook, video game, Fortnite, whatever it is. That is the pain point, which would be a lot easier. It'd be a lot easier. Like when we were kids, it was basically you're grounded inside. But now if you send a kid to their room and they just put on their headphones and put on Fortnite, like that's not a punishment at all. It's like, we're going to make you stay in the real world, boy. You're going to interact with no electronics.
Yeah. Rand says, we got the belt, and then now the stern voice is what is gotten. Yep, I understand that. Kelly says, I found that what works for my two boys changes. It all depends on what they value most of the time. It could be a certain thing like a game, or a thing like playing outside or TV. Kind of like what you said, where it's like, all right, a bunch of kids are outside. Like, you keep on acting up. You don't do your homework. You're not going outside. There's someone that I just want to get to. We've got a lot of good comments coming through. This is kind of like from your camp in the sense, and you switched me on to this, and this is what we do in our household now, thanks to you. And it's kind of monitoring the sweets. Jen says, mine are only allowed chocolate and sweets on Friday night and Saturday afternoon. These treats are taken away no matter if it's a special occasion or not. totally awesome there, right, Jen? Because that's something that now my kids look forward to, because they know, even if like my wife's aunt and uncle were here and they were making chocolate chip cookies on Sunday, after dinner on Monday, they're like, "Hey, can we have some cookies?" I'm like, "No, it's not the weekend." They're like, "But Aunt and Uncle John are here." I'm like, "Great, it's not the weekend."
Yeah, we do. And it breaks a lot. Like the kids are old enough to kind of sneak things now, and there's other stuff. But like, yeah, we do what's called Friday night is Sunday night. It's make it a big thing. We usually have, I've talked about here on the show. Typically, we end up with a 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 neighborhood kids also over here. But I have a ton of ice cream, like a bunch of different flavors, whipped cream, M&Ms, Kit Kats, like all the different syrups and marshmallow sauce and caramel. So we do Friday night is Sunday night. We don't allow any treats during the week now. I say that we don't allow it, but yesterday my daughter did great at swimming, so we went and got a Slurpee. Like, it's not a hard and fast, zero treat. But for the most part, the kids know not to ask for treats after dinner, not to come home and want, M&Ms or whatever it is. But Friday night, the rule is like, you have to make the most disgusting Sunday possible. And to your point about taking it away, occasionally, like if a Friday happens to be a day they're acting up or being stupid, I will take that away. And I think the anticipation of an event can work great for you if you're going to hold it, punish them. Like being able to do that. That's why sometimes, like, if you have a big vacation coming up or even a nice day trip to whatever, you can't threaten that because you're never not going to do it. And they know you're kind of full of it. So you got to find things that you don't mind not doing.
Yep.
And that you can cancel.
So darn true, man. Alex says, my daughter changes from taking her tablet away or making her go to bed early. She's 3, by the way. Judith says, my kid is 5 and he's now on a power wheelchair. He's a mostly good kid, but every now and then he'll act reckless with his chair. He once started making donuts in the school hallway in the gym, and then he chased his teacher. And then, and this is a 350-pound chair. I told him until the third incident. I wasn't told until the third incident, so I took the chair away and sent him for a manual one the whole week. He had to cart himself around. Never did it again.
I gotta say, I like your son. This sounds awesome. I appreciate you having to discipline him, but I enjoy it. I was
just gonna say one thing. Jeremiah raises a good point. I think you and I have talked about this too. My daughter, he says, my 3-year-old daughter is a carbon copy of me, and it's like I'm punishing for all the ish that I did to my mom. Like she hit me in the voodoo mom curse and all that stuff. I hope you have 3 just like yeah. Well, thanks, Mom. So yeah, you get that, and then there's certain things. Well, they'll say something, and my wife immediately looks at me and she's like, "That's your kid," because what they're saying at the table are trying to make a funny joke, and it's like, okay, blame my genetics, but like, they still did the crime. I didn't do that, right?
Yeah, there's definitely times where they do something, and you look at them and you think, I know exactly what you're thinking. I know why you said it. I know what you think was going to happen. I know everything that already happened I did and came through, and I know you're not supposed to do it, and I know you're not supposed to do it. I know you're going to turn out fine, and I actually even appreciate the joke or the thing or whatever it is you did, but I have to say the things that parents say, which is don't do that again and blah, 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 blah. And every now and then I have found myself lately, especially when my son, who does do things similar to me, I'll say, like, I literally say, why are you making me act like a dad, right? Like a parent? Like, just – I don't want to say the things I'm about to say. Like, I have no interest in these words coming out of my mouth. If you hit your sister one more time, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't even want to do it. Just save me from having to sound and act and just repeat like a robot all the things that parents have said for centuries. Just be good. Just be nice, be good. It never works. They fight all the time anyway. But so many times I'll be like, I had a recording. I took it off once, but I had a recording that basically said, like, Grant, stop hitting your sister. Like, Reese, stop hitting your brother. And I just put it on there. And especially like if I was, just annoyed or watching TV or something, I would just hit it over and over. And they'd be like, what are you doing? And I'd be like, I'm not even talking about this anymore. I just have to do that.
taking crime and punishment to the next level. That's Officer John for you. I love it.
Yeah.
Steve Bruno says, though I'm a single father of 6, good on you, man.
Wow,
Keep on doing your good thing, sir. Discipline is very different, and they range from 15 to 2. So a lot of electronic confiscations all the way down to timeouts. Yeah, again, I think each child, you got to realize, this is going to sound weird, what's going to hurt them the most in regards to
I know, right. What's the biggest pain point?
Yeah. And there is that dynamic, like you said, where like you're all planning to go see this movie that just came out the Friday, and all of a sudden your kid's acting a fool, and you're like, stop it. Because if you're not, mom and so-and-so are going to go, and you're staying home with me. And they know
what the most frustrating and effective one is? when you like forget the electronics, but like if a kid, if your kid gets like a new toy or a new thing that they really enjoy, and you hold it over them for a while. If you do this one more time, I'm going to take it away. It's going to sit. I always say I'm just going to throw it outside. I'm just going to throw it outside. When you're asleep, I always tell them I'm not going to do it right now. So don't think I'm going to go upstairs and take it. But when you're asleep and you wake up, it's gone. And I don't know why I started doing that, just to delay the pain or make them be better. Anyway, when you take something like that and you put it in your place wherever you hide stuff you want the kids to have, they never mention it. And you're like, well, A, why do we buy this thing that you love? B, it's clearly intransigent. Like you don't even have any interest in it whatsoever. I found a drawer recently, actually last night when I was moving some stuff, that had like 3 things that my daughter I know used to absolutely like covet. And I remember taking them away, I think like last March. And apparently they've never come up since. And it was such a punishment that she hasn't even bothered to accept it. Yes, Kelly, thank you. I would like to be addressed as officer at this point for the remainder of the show. We're doling out punishment. In fact, tell me what's going on with your kids, and I will dole out punishment as I see fit.
He is the law.
Yeah. What did you say? Yeah, that's my move too. I love that was like, that's always the cop move, but like,
yeah,
whenever your kid says something like that, they're mouthing off and you make them repeat it and they don't want to, there's some amazing power move, like parent flex that happens there. We'd be like, last night or 2 nights ago, my daughter called me like the meanest dad or something. And I was like, what did you say? And she's like, I was like, just tell me exactly what you said, and they're like,
speaking to my good
ear. Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. So we just went for a bike ride and we stopped at your friend's house and had a snack on the way home, right? That seems really mean. You do that whole thing like where you basically make yourself feel good. And then eventually if you win, they go, oh, I'm so sorry, you're the best. If you lose, they're like, you are the meanest. And you just never know which way it's going to go.
And don't you forget it.
Yeah, don't you forget. Yeah, once they're all in on you being mean, it's like you haven't even seen mean. That's always one of my favorite. When I'll like when they accuse you or say something to you, and it's already gone too far where they're not going to come back and they're going to be sent to their room or whatever, I like to then double down and be like, oh, you don't think I'm being nice? Wait till you see when I'm really not nice.
That's awesome. What about this one? Shane says wall sits work sometimes. Obviously, like the wall squats where you put, your back. I mean, that's teaching them a lesson, and also too, working on some squats right there, right?
Wall sits are good. I think any kind of physical stuff. I had a friend who used to make his kids run around the house. Like, all right, you run around the house 3 times, and he was like, yeah, they run around the house. Makes them, whatever. They run and burns out what they're doing. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's not bad. I don't know.
Yeah. Chris goes, my son is like that with a Ryobi drill. He has to have it everywhere he sleeps and wants to take it to daycare. I went to his bed and he had a screwdriver tape measure, but only came out with the drill. He's 2.5.
Nice. You got Tim the Toolman Taylor under there going through it. Oh, Steve Bruno. This is Steve making me not feel bad at all. Steve says, so I've been a Marine, a cop, and a state prison guard, but somehow I suck at discipline. I've been one of those things. I only play a cop on the internet, so I also suck at disciplining. So thank you, Steve. I feel like I'm in a better place now.
Steve, as always, man, and for anybody who watches the show, we thank you for your service, whatever you do in the military. So thanks very much for what you're doing. So thanks very much for that. Jay saying squats, positive motivation. And then Kelly said, I've made my son sit out on the front porch as a punishment.
I like that. I like the sitting out. For some reason, being alone, kids don't like to obviously be alone. And like my move was always sending them to their room is like all their stuff. So we have like a small guest room upstairs, and I'll be like, listen, I want you to sit in the chair in the guest room. And they're like, oh, no, I'll go to my room. Like, I'm like, no, you're not going to your room. You're sitting in the chair.
And it's funny too. You mentioned that, like, now that you're on point with that, and there were certain times where, like, when I got in trouble or something, my parents like, go to your room. I'm like, fine, I'm just gonna play Mortal Kombat on my Sega Genesis. Like, oh, you think so?
Yeah, that was always stupid when you would tell them how much fun like if they just said go to your room and you were like fine, and you went and shut the door and were quiet for an hour, which now as a parent that is all you want. Like, you don't need the specifics of what they're gonna do. You just want them sort of out of your sight and time to calm down and do whatever you're doing. Yeah. But the second you start listing why A, going to your room is awesome, and B, what you're gonna do in there that makes it fun, all that stuff comes out.
No doubt. Jay says, my son wasn't listening to his mother while I was at work. Next morning, I woke up and took his Xbox with me. He didn't see it until 9:00 p.m. that day. Told him next week it's a week. Next
That's
time
a
it's a
good
week.
move. I love confiscating things. My other move is, Jay, have you ever just, especially with an Xbox, might be a little tough, but my son loves dinosaurs. Like he has the entire Jurassic World set, like all of them. And taking away one of his dinosaurs for him is like taking away an iPad or something huge. And every now and then, if he's just doing those things that you've told him a million times, doesn't have to be big or little, but he just pushes you and pushes you, I will take them, and then I will let him know that I'm playing with them. I'll be like, "Oh, Terry T-Rex is taking down the giraffe," and he'll be like, "What are you doing? Are you playing with it?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." And I know he has like certain ones that win all the time.
Yeah.
So be like, "Oh, Spike," which is his stegosaurus. Like, "Oh, Spike's taking out Terry." And like, "A stegosaur would never be a tyrannosaur." Yeah, I hear him like yelling at me from upstairs, and like for some reason, like having
Get back in that guest room.
shut that door. But it's fun because it makes them feel like they're totally missing out on the experience of their toys rather than me just putting it in a drawer somewhere.
No doubt. I mean, especially with my kids, like I've been told with my youngest sometime recently, she's like, you're ruining my life. And I'm like, how? Because like so-and-so, you wouldn't let me do this. And everyone else like brings like a pudding cup in their lunch. I'm like, that's great. All right.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have like, you deal with them like for a week, they've been asking like, can I have this? No. And then sometimes after they stop asking, you put something like a nice treat in there. Again, like going against the Friday and Saturday thing, but like you put a treat in there, they come back and like they remember that, and then like the next day, like, hey, where was my treat? I'm like, that was a one-time thing. Calm down.
That's one of my favorite. One of my absolute favorite things as a parent in the history of being my whole life of having two kids is randomly saying yes to something that I always have to say no to. I said it before. Whatever it is, whether you're going to the same store and they always ask to get ice cream, or if you're driving somewhere and they always want to go to the park and it never works. There's things that you in your day-to-day routine with your kids and week-to-week routine just always find yourself saying no, and they're always asking. And I love just completely and totally surprising them. I wait sometimes. There's a place by us, there's like an ISIS place that they ask to go to all the time, and you just can't get it every day. And I say no 9 times. Every now and then they'll ask at like a random time in the morning, and I'll be like, yeah, let's go. And like it blows their mind. But they can't believe that I have the power to just say yes sometimes. But to your point, like the next day or the day after, they'll be like, so can we go there again? And I'm like, no, you just ruined. Now we're not going for like 2 months. Just let it be a good thing and let it go through.
So true. And it's like they'll appreciate that thing even more because it's a once in a blue moon type of thing. Anthony, and we've kind of seen a lot of people saying recently right now, like they make them earn it back. I want to know, like, let us know how you guys earn things back, right? Like how do you do that? Like, is there like, do they have to do chores? Do they have to be good for like a couple of days? Because you're saying like, I take my son's stuff, leave it there, sitting there so he can see it, but we're not allowed to play, make him earn it back. How do you earn it back? And then we have Melissa Howlett says, hello, good friend, family friend of me.
Hi, Melissa.
She's married to Chris, who's the brother of one of my best friends growing up, Brian. Always great to see people come to the show. Thanks for checking out the show, Melissa. Appreciate that. We got Tracy kind of weighing in with a big one. A parent told me the other day that they've grounded their daughter for sneaking out until she's 18 years old. No boyfriend or nothing. She's 15 now. Not judging, but talk to your kids about everything. It's why it's dangerous to sneak out, how scary that could be, grounding them for 3 years from everything. In my opinion, I just know that I would have rebelled. Yeah, earlier someone said
that seems like a lot of resentment there. I think I don't know. I mean, anything over. I remember I'm trying to think of like the biggest punishments. I remember my dad told me when I got my driver's license, if I got a speeding ticket, he didn't care what, like the court said he was adding 60 days onto whatever, like he was taking my license for 60 days. And dude, I got a ticket like the 11th day I got my license. And it wasn't even a bad one. It was, 42 and a 35, but I was a kid in a Jeep and totally, and it was the most painful thing. And I think I went 8 years after that without a ticket. Like, but I think having them where they're a nice and substantial amount of time, grounding a kid for 3 years, I don't know how far that works in advance. I like the thought. I like the no boyfriends type thing for 3 years, but I don't know how it's going to
work. Tracy says, in regards to my question, doing good in chores without having to ask them to is like how they do it. Yeah. Like it is funny how when my oldest, like when she was away at a sleepover, one of her chores is to clean, like anytime we're all having dinner, like even if we're not having like breakfast together because everyone's kind of doing their own thing, I'm still like in the kitchen with them while they're eating breakfast, and I'm like helping getting things ready for their school day. But like no matter who eats where and all that stuff, my oldest has to put things away, like has to put the dishes away and all that stuff. That's part of her chore. She was out at a sleepover. My youngest, the three of us were, my wife and her and I were having dinner. All of a sudden, she gets up after she eats, and she eats like she ate at a normal pace instead of like taking a snail's pace. And I don't know if it's because my oldest wasn't there, and she was like, "Ah, sweet, mommy, dad time, just me, right?" She picks up everything and puts it like near the dishwasher, and we were just like, "That's awesome, thanks so much." And she was all excited, and she didn't ask for anything, but we were like, "Want to get some ice cream or something?" She's like, "Yeah, let's go do it." So like,
that's awesome.
Those things where you're just like out of the clear blue. It's like, all right.
But now my daughter, this is a devious thing. I'm sure I can't have the only kid who does this. When they randomly do like an amazing act that you've always asked them to do, whether it's like clean their entire room and put all their clothes away from laundry, whatever it is, out of nowhere. For me, my antenna goes up immediately, and I go, what just happened? For instance, last weekend, we do our kids play laundry, and I put their laundry basket in the room, and they're responsible for folding and putting away, hanging it, whatever it is. So I put it in there. Usually I don't remember, laundry like Friday night or Thursday night or over the course of a couple of days. By Sunday night, it's like, look, you've got to put your laundry away before school. Like it just takes forever. They never do it. We ask them to do it. They never do it. So out of nowhere, I think it was last Friday night or a couple Friday nights ago, I happened to go upstairs and it was done. Like my daughter was just sitting there like, everything's away. And I was like, what did you do? Like, what happened? She's like, I just know that you always want us to do it. And, I don't want to do it Sunday morning. I thought I would just do it. And like you said, like get ahead of it. And I was like, what did you do? And it took about 4 seconds of just giving her the cop stare like this to find out that the reason she had to change her clothes is because she was playing outside and basically got all her like new stuff covered in mud. And so she thought the best way to show that she was on top of things was to throw her clothes that she had covered in mud like in the laundry. And then she put all her other laundry away. It would distract us from the fact that like she wore a new outfit that I wouldn't know. My mom, my wife would remember. And then I was just like, so you got everything muddy? Did you clean it up? And then she took me outside of where she did it. It was all over the patio, all over everywhere. And as soon as she did something like that, it was so wonderful, but also so out of the ordinary. Yeah. Our only response was like, what is this for? What are you trying to get? What are you trying to get out of trouble for?
Yeah, that's tough because you have that like spider sense, like, all right, what's up? One of the last comments we got going on from Kelly is like, when my oldest was around 5 to 6, he farted around and didn't clean his room. I threatened I'd clean it for him. I ended up cleaning everything out of his room, and it was bare, thinking he would miss his stuff. It backfired on me. He didn't even notice the stuff was missing. It took him a bit to realize what happened and eventually earned his stuff back.
Kelly, I did that exact same thing to my son. I took out every single toy. He has like shelves, like a set of 2 or 3 shelves on the floor. And I can't remember what he did, but I just put all of them in the garbage bag. Emptied all the shelves, top shelf, the middle shelf, the bottom shelf. It was a giant bag full of toys. I was like Santa Claus. And I threw it I think I put it like in the crawl space above our garage. Kid didn't say anything for like 3 days. I didn't want to say anything. I was waiting for him to be like, hey, nothing. Finally, like something came up and he was like, have you seen, my Pteranodon? And I was like, I haven't. And he like went to look. He's like, where's all the stuff? And I was like, I took it 3 days ago. Like, what? Just made me mad. Like, Kelly, I'm sorry, man. You can't win with that. A, you wasted the money on the toys so they don't really need them or want them. B, they just turn their attention to something else, so it's all fleeting, and you lose.
Uh-huh. No doubt. Jeremiah says, confiscation works good with my oldest who's 12, but my middle child 6 has severe autism and is nonverbal. So confiscating her iPad can cause even more of an issue. Huge episode where, and then like I feel like I lost all parental control, and now I have to help her get back home before we can even deal with whatever the issue took place the first time. Problem with this is my youngest sees this and then slickly tries to implement those tactics and tries to get whatever she wants. In the sense, if she gets the sissy fit and meltdown, why can't I give it up and go? All while not understanding why her older sister does that. So yeah, I mean that's tough, right?
Consistency is honestly the hardest part, especially when they're somewhat close in age. Like it's easy if your kids are like maybe 4 or 5 years apart, and there's such an age difference. It's like, look, you're 10 and your sister's 6 or whatever. Like, there's clearly a difference. When they're only a couple years apart, and there's no discernible difference between why one of them could or couldn't do something, or you end up doing things for the one because even they're a little older, and you immediately know, like, well, I just opened the floodgates because I have no actual answer. If like you're 6.5 and they're 8, you're not gonna be like you're way too young for that. You know what I mean? Unless there's like a height issue with an amusement park. So I have become more and more aware as my kids get slightly older and their age difference become less and less of a factor at 6 and 7, 7, 8, 8 and 9. That you just have. It's basically at this for us. It's like pretty much the same rule for both.
Yep.
And it doesn't work out well either way.
And you heard it here first from Officer Jon Finkel. He is the law. Also too, we love
this is the canine force.
Nice, the canine force. Sweet. Everybody, again, this is what we love. We love everybody weighing in, sharing their thoughts on fatherhood. Another great way you can share your thoughts on fatherhood is by pre-ordering this book right here.
Do it,
Dad. It comes out May 7th. It's coming up soon. If you're new to the show, just checking us out, thanks for doing that. If you're a loyal listener, we've been kind of promoting this book. John put our heart and soul into it. Pick it up, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, wherever books are sold, you can pre-order it. Like I said, it comes out May 7th. And we do these shows Monday and Wednesday around 1 p.m. Eastern. We call them the lunch break. We had Sean Kingbird, a loyal viewer who always checks out the show. He was on because he pre-ordered the book and took a screenshot and sent it to us. Keep on doing that. Also, too, if you don't want to be, and if you buy that and you show that you pre-ordered, you can be a guest on this show. And if you don't want to do a live show, you can do a podcast with us on the Life of Dad show. John and I, we host a podcast Mondays and Fridays. They come out. Check us out on iTunes, Google Play, wherever. Love to have you guys be part of the show. Not just, on the comment section, but actually with us, whether it's a podcast or this. John and I appreciate everybody's support as well. So thanks.
Yeah, we need you to buy the book. It's a pre-order right now. It's 20% off, which is about $13 bucks. Buy it. Send us that. We also have these cool bookmarks we can send you guys. They're like VIP bookmarks that we can send. Yeah, well, hey, look, how else do you impress Penny Benjamin? You know what I mean? There's only one way to do it. You got to buzz the tower. Appreciate it. This is my crime and punishment look, in case you're wondering. So, yeah, buy the book. It means a ton to us. It helps us get the Life of Dad book to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers, which is our goal. Comes out May 7th. Pre-order it today. Send us a screenshot. We'll do all kinds of cool promotion for you on there. I appreciate it. He definitely drinks tea if he knew it was pu'er tea. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, there you go. Nice.
It's got the air at the end.
All right. So for John and myself, you guys have a great rest of the week. We'll see you all next Monday. And John, who do you think is going in the championship game? NCAA, man.
I'm out at this point and everything. So why not Auburn? Why not just like have a random team win it all? Auburn, Texas Tech, and throw the whole thing into it.
Throw it into a whole ball of wax. Everyone's brackets are busted, and then if Auburn wins, Charles Barkley will just have a nonstop parade through the streets.
I went to JMU, and so our JMU's sort of arch rival is UVA. So I'm not going to root for UVA, even though I like what they do. I like their squad. So I think I'm going to root for like Texas Tech. I think it'll be fun. Auburn, I've always historically football, but like why not? It'd be cool, someone different to win. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, no doubt. I'd like to see Auburn go take it. Daryl, thanks so much for checking out the show. We're on Monday, Wednesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And you can also check out the Life of Dad show as well on iTunes, Google Play, all that good stuff. Go to lifeofdad.com.
We appreciate you listening. No traffic violations with our traffic on the show. Thank you very much.
All right, you guys have a good rest of the week. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.